Economics Wizard back at it again. Today's topic is the new Trump tariffs on solar panels and washing machines that are going to end up being very devastating. It will result in deadweight loss for consumers and the deadweight loss of jobs for both goods. Let me demonstrate how this tariff is going to be very destructive. Let's say the Chinese solar panel ordinarily costs $800. Let's say American solar panel costs $1,000. $200 more expensive than the cheaper imported Chinese solar panel. Well, let's say there's a tariff of, let's say, $250 on the Chinese solar panel, This tariff of $250 would be applied to the Chinese solar panel. That would bring the new cost of the Chinese solar panel to, you guessed it, $1,050. So this tariff for the Chinese solar panel is designed to make the American solar panel more competitive, meaning that more of these solar panels would be cost, but it comes at a loss. You see, if there's a consumer that would have paid for the Chinese solar panel, they would have spent $800, but a tariff applied to the Chinese solar panel makes it $1,050. Well, if you bought the American solar panel, well, it helps the American solar panel company when they end up making something, but it is a loss for the consumer because you would have lost out on $200 for the Chinese solar panel. These tariffs would have a devastating effect on the economy because some of these good-paying jobs that would bring up aggregate demand, manufacturing jobs, they're not coming back to America despite all these lovely tax incentives that they're telling you is going to keep these companies in America that didn't work for the carrier company and many others. Despite the tax breaks, many companies out there like Walmart and General Electric have been laying off thousands of workers. It is because taxes has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the cost of labor. The cost of labor is lower in other countries, so these tax savings don't make a difference. These companies are still going to move outside of America. It is because labor is cheaper. But here's the ticker. With this tariff, you would still pay more for the American solar panel at the end. Because what's going to happen with this is there is a little trade war happening. I will elaborate on the trade war in a second. But here's why you are still going to pay more for the American solar panel. So the tariff brings the cost of the Chinese solar panel to a total of $1,050, which is a more of a competitive price for the American good versus a Chinese good. What the American company can do is increase the cost of the solar panel until it still matches their competitive price. So they could increase the price of their solar panel to $1,025, which is below the $1,050 cost for the Chinese solar panel plus the tariff. Because they can still make more money this way, they can increase their price as long as their end price still remains competitive. $1,000 is competitive compared to $1,050. Well, that price increase of, let's say, $1,030 is still going to be more competitive than $1,050. So you're still going to end up paying more for both of these goods if you're a consumer. I thought this was designed to help consumers, to help buy more quantities. Well, if you end up paying more for the same good, then that results in an aggregate decrease in quantity sold, because the prices still go up either way. When the aggregate decrease in quantity sold occurs, then, well, that's less solar panels are being demanded, which means that you have a dead weight loss in jobs for both of these respectful industries. This is going to be very, very devastating. 1,030 at the end for the American good compared to $1,000 before. A cheaper Chinese good that you will end up paying more for. Tariffs are always bad for economies. They result in deadweight losses, and this is especially true since we can't see any other opposite reaction offset these devastating costs, which is the return of manufacturing jobs in America. But that's not going to happen. I mean, you have to compare it to yourself. $800, $1,050, $1,000 to $1,030. These deadweight losses happen. There was an act that occurred during the time of FDR. FDR was slapping all these tariffs against all these other countries to help out American industry right after the Great Depression. But there is something called retaliatory tariffs. Retaliatory tariffs, which means that if the Americans are going to slap on these tariffs on Chinese solar panels, then, well, the Chinese can slap tariffs on American solar panels, which means that these exports based on domestic manufacturing, these tariffs are going to increase the price, and it's going to result in less panels sold. So less exports than before is going to also cost domestic jobs. This is what's going to happen. These solar panels, the majority of them are not based on manufacturing. The Solar Energy Industries Association, one of their own trade groups, says this is not going to help them. It could bring as much as 50% to the cost of imported washing machines and 30% to solar panels. That is, these tariffs that are being applied by the Trump administration, this is very political because they're helping out the fossil fuel industry, and they're trying to undermine the fastest growing job sector in America, which is clean energy and renewable energy jobs. They're the fastest growing jobs in America. I will post that to the description based on the positive policies that Barack Obama has instituted, these tax credits to help support clean energy. This trade group estimates that tariffs could end up threatening as many as 23,000 American jobs. And I already explained to you guys why this would end up resulting in less jobs. That is because most jobs are in installing and assembling solar panels, not in manufacturing the solar cells. So this is not going to keep manufacturing jobs like the Trump administration claims they're saying in their basket of lies. They're going to make raw materials more expensive coming into America for these solar panel companies. It's going to be more expensive to sell these solar panels. These are going to cost many jobs out there. These tariffs, Trump said, would encourage foreign manufacturers to build plants in the United States. But these plans happen long in advance. This didn't happen after the fact. These companies already said that they had plans to build factories in South Carolina and Tennessee. Well, after these tariffs, when it results in less quantity demanded, then this could end up costing some of the 1,600 jobs that they plan to create. So this action, this barrier to free trade without bringing back a counter effect to offset the negative effects of loss of consumer power through the loss of consumer surplus, the return of manufacturing jobs. This can't offset the negative cost for this, which is why we're going to see a deadweight loss, and a kind of action like this could end up accelerating a recession, since ultimately these jobs are not coming back. A carrier still left their plant for the plant in Mexico after the fact. Just reading through this article here. Analysts expected the tariffs to slow solar panel sales in the United States. Solar panel makers will pass some of the costs on to consumers, making them more expensive and less attractive, particularly in some markets where solar was just starting to pick up steam, says Lunder Capital, firm that develops and manages solar investments. Solar jobs grew 17 times faster than the overall U.S. economy, according to a report last year by International Renewable Energy Agency. So this guy Trump is costing jobs in the fastest industry of job creation. Only 14% of solar panel jobs are manufacturing jobs, so this is not going to help bring back any manufacturing jobs in America. This is just going to make raw materials more expensive. But these tariffs are going to end up being very costly for America, says the economics wizard.